16 by 9, the bigger picture.
Energy drinks promise to charge you up, but are they safe? We put them to the test.
This stuff sits beside the flavored waters, the Coca-Colas, the chocolate milks, and we think it's safe, and it's not safe.
I intend to try and bring as much light to the suspicious nature of them as I can.
That's all coming up on 16 by 9. Here's Mary Garofalo.
Good evening and welcome to 16 by 9, the bigger picture. The explosive investigation that kicked off our third season is making waves. A few weeks ago, we blew the lid off energy drinks. And just 2 days after our broadcast, Health Canada warned Canadians that there might be a link between energy drinks and seizures. We wanted answers, so we went to the top. Here's our Beatrice Politi.
It's high adrenaline, heart pumping, mind blowing, an intoxicating mix of cool, speed, and attitude. It's all about high energy in the sport, in the faces of the fans, and it turns out, in their drinks.
Awesome. It's good. It's wicked.
Awesome, wicked, and everywhere. The popularity of energy drinks has skyrocketed to a $5 billion industry in North America since the first of its kind hit store shelves back in the mid-1990s. And the core of that multi-billion-dollar market? Young adults and teens. Never mind that Health Canada says energy drinks are approved for adult use only and not recommended for children. Yet 1 in 3 teenagers drink the stuff regularly. Jim Shepard's son was a teenager when his dad says he tried an energy drink for the first time. It was 2008, and 15-year-old Brian Shepard was competing in a paintball tournament in Pickering, Ontario.
My wife and I were speaking to someone on the other team, actually, that won, and Brian, someone came over and told us that Brian had collapsed.
Collapsed and stopped breathing. Within minutes, the paramedics arrive. They perform CPR on Brian and rush him to hospital.
As one nurse put it, he put up a valiant effort. And right around midnight, he stopped. His heart stopped finally. They couldn't explain his death. The doctor couldn't tell us why. That he had arrhythmia, yes, but why he got an arrhythmia, there was nothing in the autopsy to suggest what the cause was.
Brian's autopsy showed he was a healthy teen with no heart problems of any kind. Still, something took Brian's life. And Brian's father is certain he knows what that something is. He says Brian was not a coffee drinker, but the autopsy turned up caffeine in Brian's body. Caffeine, Jim says, had to have come from that energy drink Brian had.
We learned, first of all, that Red Bull was there that day handing out drinks. Brian was witnessed drinking one of these drinks. To me, I think it was a perfect storm. Putting it all together, I think being exhausted, no food, having played all day with an adrenaline-rushing game, that it took its toll altogether. An immediate tinge of guilt went through me because I didn't know what a Red Bull was.
In a written statement to 16 by 9, Red Bull said, "We are sympathetic to Mr. Shepard and his tragic loss." And it also went on to say that it is Red Bull's understanding that there was no connection between the energy drink and Brian Shepard's death. In Florida, Cheryl James understands the grief of losing a son and the frustration of not knowing why he died.
Have you ever known of a 19-year-old to just die for no reason? It doesn't happen. Something killed my son.
Cheryl's son, 19-year-old Drew James, was a regular caffeine drinker, coffee and energy drinks. But his mother says one day Drew tried a brand of energy drink he'd never tried before, a drink called Monster Nitrous. The brand promises a buzz that's bigger than ever and a potent 5,000 milligram energy blend that will whip you good.
He had made one comment about he felt kind of sick to his stomach, but it was instantly that his eyes rolled back and he started falling to the ground.
Drew's autopsy listed the cause of death as cardiac arrhythmia due to ischemic cardiomyopathy, or oxygen and blood cut off from his heart. And the autopsy showed one more thing: caffeine in his blood.
Your child doesn't just die. Something caused his heart to get out of rhythm. And it had to be the volume of energy blend and caffeine. Had to be.
A grieving mother convinced. But can caffeine really be the cause of heart problems? Well, this caffeine expert, Ahmed Al-Sahemi from the University of Toronto, says even relatively low levels of caffeine can be a serious health risk.
There's been some evidence that in some individuals, caffeine can cause an increase in heart rate and spikes in blood pressure. And for some people who have possibly a genetic predisposition to heart disease, could act as a trigger for a heart attack.
But Al-Sahemi isn't the only scientist to support Cheryl's conviction energy drinks can be dangerous. Scott Willoughby, a cardiovascular researcher at the University of Adelaide in Australia, did a study on energy drinks. Willoughby had 50 otherwise healthy young adults consume a sugar-free energy drink. Then he tested their blood to see the effects the drinks had on them.
They changed the profile of young, healthy individuals more towards the parameters we would expect to see from somebody who is elderly and has cardiovascular disease.
Things like a higher risk of blood clots in the coronary arteries, heart disease, and even heart attacks. Not exactly the image of a young, healthy teen.
This study is suggestive that there could be a link between energy drink consumption and cardiovascular disease. However, that is a tentative link at this stage.
And the studies linking energy drinks to health risks are adding up. A study showing an increase in heart rate and blood pressure after consuming an energy drink. A study linking the drinks and seizures. A study linking them to increased high-risk behavior in youth. None of this science surprises this father who lost a son.
What really frustrates me is when I hear industry say we have the strongest regulations in the world. The regulations are mere words.
But we did get this from Health Canada records. 78 adverse events from energy drinks have been reported, including 2 suspected deaths. And those numbers likely don't paint the whole picture. Health Canada estimates that for every adverse reaction reported, 10 go unreported.
Then how many are really out there? Are there 600, 6,000 in Toronto alone? Are there 6,000 in Canada, 60,000?
And while Health Canada requires companies to put warnings on the cans, saying the product is not advised for children, pregnant women, or people who are caffeine sensitive, these 2 parents, who lost teenage sons, say those warnings aren't nearly enough.
The stuff sits beside the flavored waters, the Coca-Colas, the chocolate milks, and we think it's safe, and it's not safe.
I intend to try and bring as much light to the suspicious nature of them as I can.
Still to come on 16 by 9.
Health Canada has set the limit for young people. All these products are over and above what the safe limit is.
That's all coming up. Welcome back to 16 by 9, the bigger picture.
What's in a name? Well, everything when it comes to marketing. Energy drinks like Red Bull, Monster, and Full Throttle conjure images of rebellion and adventure, and 1/3 of teenagers are buying into the promise of a quick hit. But what exactly is in energy drinks? 16 by 9 put the drinks to the test. Here again is our Beatrice Politi.
They are filling store cooler shelves and drink vending machines. They're called energy drinks, and they are quickly becoming one of Canada's most popular beverages. You can find them just about anywhere, and anyone of any age can walk in and pick up a can or 2. The colorful cans promise an energy buzz, claim to restore mental alertness, wakefulness, and even to give you wings. But some drinkers told us that hit isn't always a good one.
They were telling me that it was the increased heart rate and that it could have stopped at any point in time, that I was close to having a heart attack. They said it was directly because of the energy drinks.
I went and consulted my doctor, and basically she deemed it as me being in a coma, being out for in 2 days was a result of the energy drink. I've been mixed with a prescription medication that I was on at the time.
Once I went to bed, I couldn't get up.
Reports of increased heart rates, nausea, even pain in a drink approved by Health Canada as safe for adults only. A look at the label on one of these drinks might just give a hint about why the promised boost could go bad. Guarana, taurine, ginseng, all known stimulants, and one more, the big one, caffeine. 16 by 9 decided to find out if what's on the label matches what's in the can. So we took 6 popular brands to a lab.
So we'll have a 50, 100, 200, 300, 400.
Dr. Massimo Marconi is a food scientist at the University of Guelph.
So what do we have here?
One by one, all 6 brands tested. The result.
For all of them, they're slightly higher than what was reported.
All 6 brands, every single can Dr. Marconi tested, had more caffeine than listed. And the culprit for those higher than listed levels could be this, an ingredient called guarana. It's one of the most highly caffeinated plants in the world. But Health Canada rules don't require drink companies to tell consumers about that caffeine. One of the things that's interesting about that is that the caffeine in guarana doesn't actually have to be outlined or delineated on the can as per Health Canada rules.
Exactly, so that's where you can get a little bit of a fudging. It depends what type of extract it is. Some can be more concentrated, some of them can be 22% caffeine, some of them can be 1.5% caffeine.
That translates into extra caffeine that Health Canada doesn't make companies list on the outside of the can, but is still on the inside. And as caffeine expert Ahmed El-Sahemi attests, caffeine is just caffeine.
If a product uses an extract from the guarana plant, then they often just label that as the ingredient. But caffeine is caffeine, and the molecule is identical, regardless of whether it's caffeine from coffee or caffeine from guarana.
The organization that represents companies selling energy drinks in Canada, Refreshments Canada, claims energy drink labels include a clear declaration of caffeine content from all sources. That doesn't explain our test. 6 brands, all with higher caffeine than listed. So we asked Refreshments Canada to explain, but they turned down 16 by 9's request for an interview, providing a written statement saying, energy drink products that are sold in Canada have been established as safe by Health Canada, and the caffeine levels found are within government regulations. But no matter what the real level of caffeine in energy drinks, there's an even bigger issue, what that caffeine can mean for kids.
Health Canada has set the limit for young people, ages 12 to 13, at about 85 milligrams per average child. All these products are over and above what the safe limit is for these young people.
In fact, the caffeine in some of these drinks can be as much as double the maximum amount Health Canada says is safe for a child under the age of 13. And then there are all the other stimulants. No one really knows about the safety of putting them all together in one can.
It hasn't been studied. There isn't that data to support that.
So what you're saying is that these drinks with all of these different ingredients are out there on the market freely being sold to Canadians and to people worldwide, and yet we don't know how these ingredients in these cans interact with each other.
Exactly.
16 by 9 asked Health Canada for studies on the safety of energy drinks, but none of the ones provided examine the safety of putting all these ingredients together in one can.
I can give you a blue or green.
The industry has grown by leaps and bounds since the father of all energy drinks, Red Bull, came on the market in the late 1990s. Now there are approximately 300 varieties, and that boom is owed in part to aggressive marketing.
If you want to go hunting, what you do is you hang up by the water hole, because that's where the animals are going to show up.
It's called grassroots marketing. Lindsay Meredith, a marketing expert, says it's working for energy drink companies.
It's selling the sizzle, just like it always has been, and it has to have the right gnarly look if you want to catch that younger age market. And that's certainly important if you want to get anybody between those ages of, say, 10 and 20.
And for the right gnarly look, energy drink companies sponsor events like this.
Some of the big brands out there, Red Bull, Monster, look, the names probably give away some of the issues right off the bat. It has to have a particular kind of image.
Rockstar Recovery.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Energy drinks are considered natural health products under Canada's Food and Drug Act, approved for adults only. And handing the drinks out for free, just like we're seeing here, is considered a violation of the act.
And it's a penny.
And this, accepting a penny, well, that's technically okay. But that policy is under review by Health Canada. And then, at another event, this teen says no one asked his age before handing him a cup.
Matthew McCartney, age 15.
Our cameras also captured this.
I have to hand it to your dad.
Technically, she did the right thing, but the drink still went to a child. Yet energy drink companies maintain their target market is strictly 18 and older. Strange, because 16 by 9 discovered that just this past June, Red Bull products were handed out to students from this Winnipeg high school, and those cans came with a message. After all of the stress of these past weeks, the first thing you should do is take a flight up to party heaven, and Red Bull will give you the wings you need to get there. Sure looks like marketing to teens, so 16 by 9 requested an interview with Red Bull to explain. Red Bull turned down that request, providing this written statement. Red Bull has designed its marketing practices to be in full compliance with Health Canada regulations, adhering to the distribution policy requirements of the Food and Drug Act. But Health Canada is concerned about what 16 by 9 caught on video. Dr. Robin Marles is the director of the Natural Health Products Directorate for Health Canada.
We have several instances that we have on camera showing that these energy drink companies are handing out free samples. Where's the policing on this?
Our Health Products and Food Branch Inspectorate has been made aware of the instances that you've mentioned and others. They are actively investigating these.
But again, it's still a complaint-driven process. Health Canada is not doing spot checks to make sure that these energy drink companies are not handing out free product.
Health Canada has not been doing spot checks at this point, but as I mentioned, this is something we are moving towards in terms of prioritizing our resources.
We asked all 6 companies whose drinks we tested to explain about the safety and marketing of their product. None of the companies granted an interview to 16 by 9.
Still to come on 16 by 9.
There has been indications that youth have been one of the major targets of the energy drink industry.
That's all coming up. We're back with the bigger picture.
Health Canada says energy drinks are only approved for adults, but anyone, anywhere, of any age can buy them anytime. So who's keeping watch? Here's our Beatrice Politi.
Jim Shepard lost his son 2 years ago. Just hours, he says, after 15-year-old Brian drank an energy drink.
There's a hole at every dinner table, every family dinner table, you know, at family gatherings. I have no words for you. You can't describe it.
This father is now on a mission to warn others against a product he considers dangerous.
There is no policing. They rely on complaints in order to do compliance action.
Health Canada doesn't investigate without a filed complaint, so that's exactly what Jim did, starting with a complaint about free energy drink handouts. Soon after, in April 2009, one company, Red Bull, agreed to stop giving out samples. But Jim says that breakthrough was short-lived.
On February 6th of this year, watching a 13-year-old's hockey game, and I come out in the parking lot, and lo and behold, there's a Red Bull car. And as I took a sample, there was a teenager in front of me getting a sample.
Jim calls that marketing to kids. And then there's this, cartoon characters on cans.
When you see things like that, get nervous. You know that the target market is definitely young people.
A few months ago, Health Canada issued a recall on those cartoon drinks made by Boston America, because the products did not contain warnings, contraindications, dosage, or age populations. But 16 by 9 discovered that recall is falling short.
Donkey Kong Jungle Juice, Mr. Bounce. These are 2 energy drinks that Health Canada says are in violation of the Food and Drug Act and should no longer be sold in Canada.
We managed to find these recalled drinks sitting on shelves at more than one Toronto store.
They don't have anybody to do spot checks. I guess I'll have to complain because I'm the police.
All of this has some Canadian doctors concerned, and the editor of the Canadian Medical Association Journal, Dr. Paul Hébert, is one of them.
The idea was to put to parents that this is like giving a drug to your kid. This is exactly, caffeine is a drug. be very careful how you give it, if you should give it at all. If there are no real benefits to it, why are we allowing our kids to drink these things? Perhaps what we should do is err on the side of concern and safety. So arguably, I think the onus of proof is on companies, possibly on regulators, to prove to Canadians that they are safe.
On Prince Edward Island, the drinks are banned on school property. PEI's chief health officer is Dr. Lamont Sweet.
The energy drinks have an addictive compound in it. Youth in particular can become addicted, and certainly there has been indications that youth have been one of the major targets of the energy drink industry. And there is a major concern that we have that it is the new tobacco.
What exactly is Health Canada doing to police energy drinks across the country? The agency says where the drinks are sold is up to the provinces. What's on the label is up to Health Canada.
We have explicitly stated on every single label, as well as in all our public communications, these products are not suitable for children or adolescents. Adults only is what we have been very clear on.
Is there a consideration to putting an age restriction on energy drinks?
Absolutely. Some people might interpret an adult to be an older teenager. So we're looking at the possibility of defining it as 18 or older or 19 or older.
Meantime, back in Toronto, Jim Shepherd presses on, all in hopes enough information will convince Health Canada and the energy drink industry that better product labeling, warning of possible adverse reactions, is put into effect once and for all.
If an adult wants to consume them, then they can. That's their business, as long as they're aware. As far as 18 and under or youths go, they shouldn't be available to them.
We wanted more answers from the top about the safety of energy drinks, so we caught up with the woman in charge, Health Minister Leona Agluka.
We have to investigate, and we have to then follow up with what the complaints were, and we'll make a decision from there.
Is there going to be a change to the energy drink law?
Once we've concluded the investigation, we don't know the outcome of that yet. So again, through the investigations that we'll be able to determine what next steps that we need to take.
One of those steps is a new expert panel appointed by Health Canada investigating energy drinks and the energy drinks industry. Jim Shepherd is cautiously hopeful all this will bring about changes. But those changes, if they come, are too late for Jim. The loss of his son Brian is with him every day.
I have two boys, and if they both lived, I think they would have made a very positive contribution to this world. With Brian's death, I think the only way he's going to make that contribution is if I do it. Yes, I don't want him to die in vain. I don't want anyone else to live with the questions that my family does.
And that's it for us tonight. If you have a story idea, just call us at 1-877-TEL-169 or visit our website at global16by9.com. I'm Mary Garofalo. Thank you for watching, and from all of us here, good night.
If you've got a story idea for 16 by 9, call our tip line. "16 by 9, the bigger picture." That's a wrap.
Plus, why that he had arrhythmia, yes, but why he got an arrhythmia, there was nothing in the autopsy to suggest what the cause was.
Brian's autopsy showed he was a healthy teen with no heart problems of any kind. Still, something took Brian's life. And Brian's father is certain he knows what that something is. He says Brian was not a coffee drinker, but the autopsy turned up caffeine in Brian's body. Caffeine, Jim says, had to have come from that energy drink Brian had.
We learned, first of all, that Red Bull was there that day handing out drinks. Brian was witnessed drinking one of these drinks. To me, I think it was a perfect storm. Putting it all together,
16 by 9, the bigger picture.
Energy drinks promise to charge you up, but are they safe? We put them to the test.
This stuff sits beside the flavored waters, the Coca-Colas, the chocolate milks, and we think it's safe, and it's not safe.
I intend to try and bring as much light to the suspicious nature of them as I can.
That's all coming up on 16 by 9. Here's Mary Garofalo.
Good evening and welcome to 16 by 9, the bigger picture. The explosive investigation that kicked off our third season is making waves. A few weeks ago, we blew the lid off energy drinks. And just 2 days after our broadcast, Health Canada warned Canadians that there might be a link between energy drinks and seizures. We wanted answers, so we went to the top. Here's our Beatrice Politi.
It's high adrenaline, heart pumping, mind blowing, an intoxicating mix of cool, speed, and attitude. It's all about high energy in the sport, in the faces of the fans, and it turns out, in their drinks.
Awesome. It's good. It's wicked.
Awesome, wicked, and everywhere. The popularity of energy drinks has skyrocketed to a $5 billion industry in North America since the first of its kind hit store shelves back in the mid-1990s. And the core of that multi-billion-dollar market? Young adults and teens. Never mind that Health Canada says energy drinks are approved for adult use only and not recommended for children. Yet 1 in 3 teenagers drink the stuff regularly. Jim Shepard's son was a teenager when his dad says he tried an energy drink for the first time. It was 2008, and 15-year-old Brian Shepard was competing in a paintball tournament in Pickering, Ontario.
My wife and I were speaking to someone on the other team, actually, that won, and Brian, someone came over and told us that Brian had collapsed.
Collapsed and stopped breathing. Within minutes, the paramedics arrive. They perform CPR on Brian and rush him to hospital.
As one nurse put it, he put up a valiant effort. And right around midnight, he stopped, his heart stopped finally. They couldn't explain his death. The doctor couldn't tell